In the far corner of the galaxy, there was a small planet called Varlon. The planet was quiet with soft green forests and calm rivers. The Varloni lived in these forests. They were gentle creatures with thin bodies, long fingers, and soft, pale skin. Their eyes were big, shining, and full of curiosity. They did not know war. They did not know fighting. Their lives were peaceful, and they loved beauty. But that peace had ended. Dark ships came from the edges of the galaxy. They were enormous and frightening, like moving mountains of black metal with glowing red eyes. These ships did not talk. They did not negotiate. They destroyed everything in their path. Entire planets were consumed. The Varloni had never seen anything like this before. Their scientists tried to study the ships. Their leaders tried to make plans. But nothing worked. Elian, the leader of the Varloni, walked through the empty streets of their capital city. Buildings that once shone with light were now broken and blackened. Rivers were still clean, but smoke hung low in the air. Elian felt the weight of his people's fear. He had to do something. If the swarm came, Varlon would be gone in days. He gathered the council in the tallest building, a round tower of smooth glass. "We have no allies left," Elian said, his voice soft but trembling. "We have sent messages, and the galaxy ignores us. We have waited too long." A council member named Lyra spoke. She was small but brave, with green eyes that reflected determination. "Elian, maybe there is someone who will hear us. There must be someone. We cannot give up." Elian shook his head. "We are forgotten. Every signal we send disappears into the void. Every call is ignored. But we have one chance left." He turned to a large machine in the center of the room. It was their last communications array, capable of sending a message across the galaxy, far beyond the usual range. The machine hummed with energy. Elian began preparing the signal. He put all the colony's information into it: maps, language, history, population. He described their danger in the simplest words, hoping someone would understand. The signal was powerful, like a beam of light across endless space. Elian watched it rise into the sky, disappearing toward the stars. "Please," he whispered. "Someone. Anyone." Days passed. Nothing came. The Varloni continued their routines, but every leaf in the forest, every drop in the river, seemed heavier with fear. Children asked why the sky was dark at night, and parents had no answers. Then, far away on a station orbiting the moon, a human named Laura Pierce noticed a strange signal on her monitor. She was the captain of a small monitoring post for the Earth Space Command. Laura had short brown hair and sharp eyes. She leaned forward, curious. "What is that?" she asked herself. The signal was weak but full of data. It was not from any human outpost. She called her team. Lieutenant Jason Carter, a tall man with a calm voice, joined her. Dr. Megan Holt, the medical officer, came next, along with engineer Alan Price. "Look at this," Laura said, pointing at the screen. "It's coming from the outer systems, past the Orion Belt. It's not human." They studied the message. The language was strange, but the translation tools worked enough to make it understandable. It was a call for help. A small civilization was in danger, maybe close to extinction. The message described enormous ships, a swarm that destroyed planets, and a plea for mercy. Jason frowned. "If the Galactic Council doesn't care, why would we? Earth has stayed isolated for so long." Laura looked at him. Her face was serious. "Because we can, because someone has to. We cannot just ignore them." Megan nodded. "If these people are in real danger, it could be a chance to learn, to help, and to show what humans can do." Alan added quietly. "Besides, it's not just about helping. It's about survival. If this swarm spreads, it could reach other systems. We don't know what it wants." Laura made a decision. "We respond. Prepare a ship. We are going to see who sent this signal." The team worked for hours. Supplies were packed, weapons were checked, life support systems were tested. Every human on the station felt a mixture of fear and excitement. They were about to meet a new species. They were about to step into the unknown. Meanwhile, on Varlon, Elian watched the skies each night. He knew the swarm was coming closer. Fires appeared in the forests far from the city. Animals ran without reason. The Varloni tried to help them, but the fires were too large. The planet was changing. Elian held his head in his hands. "If no one comes," he whispered, but he did not finish. One morning, strange lights appeared in the sky. The Varloni froze. Elian squinted. "Ships. Ships that are not red," he said. The light grew closer. It was not the swarm. The shape was different. It was solid, strong, and large, but it carried no fear. The humans landed near the capital, the ESE Vanguard ship touching the ground with a soft hum. Elian's people ran to the landing site. They had never seen creatures like this. The humans were tall, strong, and rugged. Their skin was not pale like the Varloni, but tan and rough. Their eyes were steady and confident. They wore armor, carried tools, and moved with purpose. Laura Pierce stepped forward first. She raised her hand in greeting. "We received your message. We are here to help." Her voice was calm, but strong. Elian felt a strange emotion he had never known: hope. Jason and the others followed. Jason knelt down to speak gently to a small Varloni child who was hiding behind Elian's leg. "Hello there," he said. The child stared with wide eyes, then slowly reached out a finger. Jason touched it lightly. The human's skin was hard, but the child did not pull away. Elian took a deep breath. "I am Elian," he said. We did not know who would come." Laura smiled. "It does not matter. We are here now." The humans moved among the colony, offering water, food, and comfort. They spoke slowly, showing patience. The Varloni were amazed at their presence. These humans were different from anything they had imagined. They were not gentle like the Varloni, but they were not cruel. They were strong but careful. They were brave but kind. The humans asked questions. "What is your language?" Megan asked. "What do you eat? What is your home like?" The Varloni answered, amazed that someone was listening. Elian explained the swarm, the destruction, and the fear. The humans nodded and began to make plans. Jason said, "We will help you defend your world. It will not be easy, but we will stand with you." The Varloni could hardly believe it. A small spark of hope ignited in their hearts. They had waited for help, and it had come from the most unexpected place. These humans were from a planet harsh and deadly, a place no one would dare to live. They were called Death Worlders. They were survivors. And now, they were standing in front of the Varloni, ready to fight for them. Elian looked at the humans closely. He noticed how their bodies were solid, how their hands were strong, and how their eyes held determination. He realized something important. These humans were not ordinary. They were different from the rest of the galaxy. They carried strength in their very bones. Night fell on the colony, and the Varloni slept with a sense of safety they had not felt for weeks. The humans stayed awake, planning defenses, repairing systems, and preparing for the fight that was surely coming. They spoke quietly among themselves, but always with hope. Elian watched the humans work. He felt a mixture of fear and admiration. The galaxy had abandoned him and his people, but these strange creatures from Earth had come. He did not know what they were capable of, but he knew one thing for certain. With them, Varlon might survive. Outside, the forest was quiet, but fires still burned in the distance. The wind carried the smell of smoke. Somewhere, the swarm was moving closer. Yet the humans stood ready. And Elian understood that this was the beginning of something new. For the first time in many nights, the Varloni dared to hope. They had no clue who would come, but now they had seen them. They had seen the Death Worlders, and perhaps, just perhaps, they had found a chance to live. The morning sun rose over the forests of Varlon, painting the sky with shades of pink and gold. The air was still and soft. Birds sang, and small creatures moved through the grass unaware of the humans who had landed the night before. Elian walked with a heavy heart, but this time he carried a small hope in his chest. The humans were here. They had survived the landing and offered aid. Perhaps there was a chance after all. Captain Laura Pierce and her team spent the early hours studying the colony. They walked through the empty streets, observing the broken buildings and the few survivors who were beginning to emerge. The humans were careful. They did not rush or push. They asked questions, listened, and learned. Jason Carter followed Laura, his eyes scanning the trees around the city. He noticed small shapes moving in the shadows. "They are watching us," he said quietly. "Yes," Laura replied. "Everything here watches. It is natural. We must be patient." Dr. Megan Holt knelt beside a small garden where plants struggled to grow through the scorched soil. She touched the leaves gently. "These plants are strong, but they need help," she said. "We can make them grow faster. We can help them survive." Engineer Alan Price examined the power systems left in the city. They were old and damaged, but functional. He smiled. "We can fix this. It will take time, but it is possible." Elian approached them cautiously, his long fingers brushing together nervously. "I am Elian," he said. "You are not like any who have come before." "You are strong," Laura nodded. "We are humans. We come from a planet far from here. Our world is harsh. We are used to surviving where others cannot." The Varloni blinked. Elian tilted his head. "Surviving? Like the swarm?" Laura shook her head. "No, surviving in life. Our world teaches us strength and endurance. We are here to help you survive, to help your people." Elian looked over his shoulder. Varloni children peeked from behind walls, curious and frightened. He smiled faintly. "They will learn too, but are your ways safe for them?" Jason knelt near the children, offering a small piece of fruit. "We do not mean harm," he said. "We want to help. You will learn slowly, one step at a time." The day passed slowly. The humans set up temporary shelters. They repaired broken water systems and cleared paths through the rubble. Varloni watched, amazed at how quickly humans adapted to their world. They were strong and they were careful. The Varloni began to follow them, learning simple tasks, copying movements, and trying to help. By the afternoon, a small group of Varloni had gathered. They had been chosen by Elian to work alongside the humans. One of them, a young female named Sella, was eager and curious. She watched Alan work on a generator and asked questions. Alan smiled. "This makes energy. It is simple, but it works." "You can learn?" Sela nodded, her eyes wide. "It is strange. It feels solid, strong. I have never seen anything like it." Megan worked with other Varloni, helping them understand the human way of caring for injured creatures. She showed them how to treat small cuts and bruises, how to prepare food that gave strength, and how to make basic medicine. The Varloni were fascinated. They had never seen such methods. As the sun began to set, Elian called a meeting in the open square. Humans and Varloni gathered together. He looked at Laura. "You have come to help us. You do not fear the swarm. But our people, they are afraid. How can we trust that your strength will be enough?" Laura stepped forward. "Trust is earned," she said. "We do not ask you to follow blindly. We ask you to watch, to learn, and to join us in defending your home. Together we can stand against the swarm," Jason added. "You may not understand our ways yet, but we survive where others fall. We will teach you, and you will teach us. We are stronger together." The Varloni listened quietly. Some nodded, some stayed hesitant. Elian looked at them and then at the humans. "Then we will try," he said. "We will learn." Night came, and with it strange sounds from the forests. Elian's people shivered, but the humans remained calm. Laura walked to the edge of the city and looked at the horizon. "They will come soon," she said softly. "But we will be ready." The next morning, the humans began training the Varloni. Jason showed them how to move silently, how to observe their surroundings, and how to avoid danger. The Varloni were clumsy at first, but they learned quickly. Their bodies were not built for war, but their minds were sharp. They began to understand tactics and strategy. Megan worked with the children and young adults. She taught them simple medicine, how to carry and treat the injured, and how to make basic defenses. The Varloni were cautious but eager to help. They wanted to protect their home. Alan and a group of Varloni worked on building shelters. They dug tunnels underground and reinforced weak buildings. The Varloni were amazed at how humans could turn even broken materials into strong structures. "You make the impossible possible," Sela whispered to Alan. The humans also studied the Varloni. They learned about their culture, their language, and their way of life. Laura found herself smiling at their gentle nature, their creativity, and their curiosity. "They are peaceful," she said to Jason, "but they will fight if they must." Jason nodded. "Yes, and we will make sure they have the strength to do so." Days passed, and the bond between the humans and the Varloni grew stronger. They shared meals, stories, and laughter. The Varloni learned simple human songs and games. The humans learned to respect the quiet and delicate ways of the Varloni. One evening, as the twin moons of Varlon rose, a small group of scouts returned with news. Fires had been seen on the distant forests. The swarm was approaching. Elian's heart sank. "It is soon," he whispered. Laura placed a hand on his shoulder. "We will face it together. Your people will not fight alone." Jason and Alan prepared weapons and defenses. Megan checked supplies and treated the sick. The humans moved with confidence and calm, teaching the Varloni to do the same. They showed them how to make traps, how to hide, and how to move quickly. Sella, the young Varloni, practiced with a small group of children. They carried simple weapons and shields made by Alan. At first they were clumsy, but the humans guided them patiently. Slowly the children began to move like a team. That night Elian could not sleep. He walked through the city, watching the humans stand guard. They spoke softly among themselves, planning and preparing, but never showing fear. Elian realized that these creatures were extraordinary. They carried the strength of a harsh world in their bodies and the courage of a lifetime of survival in their hearts. He whispered to himself, "Perhaps they are what we needed. Perhaps we will survive." The next day, scouts returned with more urgent news. The swarm was near. Its black ships could be seen in the distance, glowing like red embers against the sky. The Varloni panicked. Children cried. Adults ran to Elian for guidance. Laura stepped forward. "Stay calm," she said firmly. "We have trained. We have prepared. The swarm may be strong, but we are stronger together." Jason added, "Follow our lead. Trust in what you have learned. You are not alone." The Varloni hesitated, but slowly they began to listen. Elian watched the humans move among his people, steadying them, guiding them, and showing them that hope was possible even in the darkest hours. As the first wave of the swarm drew closer, the humans positioned themselves at the city's edges. The Varloni took up defensive positions nearby, some armed, some ready to help in other ways. The humans taught them to work as a team, to watch each other, and to move with courage. The sky grew dark with the shadow of the swarm. Elian stood beside Laura. He felt fear, but also a strange confidence. These humans, these Deathworlders, had come from a world no one could survive easily, and now they were standing here ready to defend his people. Elian realized something important. The galaxy had abandoned them, but these humans had not. They had come not for glory, not for reward, but to help. That was something Elian had never expected. The wind picked up, carrying the sound of the approaching swarm. Elian held his breath. The humans remained calm. They were ready. And for the first time, Elian felt that maybe, just maybe, Varlon could survive. The first day of preparation had ended. The humans had shown the Varloni their strength, their courage, and their kindness, and now the colony waited, united for the first time, knowing that the coming battle would test them all. Yet, deep in his heart, Elian knew one thing. With the humans by their side, they had a chance. And for the first time in many moons, the Varloni dared to hope. The next morning, the sky over Varlon was pale with early sunlight. The air smelled of damp earth and smoke from the distant forests. Humans and Varloni moved through the city together. The humans had already begun teaching the Varloni more advanced defense techniques. Elian watched them with careful eyes, still not fully trusting that his people could learn to survive. Captain Laura Pierce walked alongside Jason Carter, pointing toward the hills outside the city. "We need observation posts there," she said. "From those heights we can see the swarm coming long before it reaches the city." Jason nodded. "I will take a team and set them up. Some Varloni can help carry supplies and guide us through the terrain." Elian turned to a group of his people, including Sella, the young girl who had been so eager to learn. "You will go with them," he said. "You must watch and learn. Pay attention." Sella nodded eagerly. She wanted to help. She wanted to understand the humans. They were strong, but there was more than strength in them. There was something in their eyes, a determination that went beyond fear. Dr. Megan Holt moved among another group of Varloni. She carried small kits filled with medicine, bandages, and basic tools. "We will teach you how to care for the wounded," she said. "It is not just about fighting. Survival means helping each other." The Varloni listened carefully. They were slow to move at first, unsure of the human ways, but they wanted to learn. They began practicing with Megan, following instructions and helping each other with gentle hands. Alan Price worked in the old city center, rebuilding a generator that would power defensive systems. "This is simple," he said to a Varloni named Tilo who had come to watch. "But it is strong. You can learn it if you pay attention." Tilo tilted his head. "It seemed strange, but your hands are steady. How do you know what to do?" Alan smiled. "We have done it many times before. We make mistakes, we fix them, and we try again. You will see, you can do the same." The humans' patience impressed the Varloni. Slowly, the Varloni began to understand the humans' methods. They learned that humans were not always fast, but they were careful. They were not always graceful, but they were clever. That afternoon, Jason led a group to the hills. The Varloni were nervous, carrying heavy packs with supplies and simple weapons. Jason walked beside them, giving instructions. "Step carefully. Watch your surroundings. Move as a team. Do not panic." The group climbed higher, and from the top they could see the forests stretching into the distance. Fires still burned and smoke twisted into the sky. The swarm was approaching. In the distance, Elian could see their shapes, dark and foreboding, moving like shadows over the land. Sela shivered. "They are coming," she whispered. Jason knelt beside her. "Yes," he said gently. "But you are not alone. We are here. We will face them together." Back in the city, Laura and Elian discussed strategy. "We need to teach them how to fight," Laura said. "Not just with weapons, but with their minds. They are not soldiers, but they can be clever. They can survive if they think carefully." Elian nodded. "They are afraid, but they will listen. You must guide them." Laura smiled faintly. "That is what we do. We survive by helping each other, by teaching and by learning. They will understand." Megan worked with another group, teaching them how to make simple barriers, how to carry the injured, and how to move quickly without panic. She showed them how to combine their natural abilities with human techniques. The Varloni were amazed. Their delicate bodies could move in ways humans could not, and humans could teach them how to use that strength wisely. Alan finished rebuilding the generator. "This will give us power for the next wave," he said. "It is not much, but it is enough. We will make it stronger as we go." That evening, the humans gathered the Varloni for a demonstration. Jason and Laura showed them how to use small weapons safely. They explained how to aim, how to move with balance, and how to avoid danger. The Varloni tried, fumbling at first, but the humans corrected them gently. Sela managed to hold the weapon steadily. She took a deep breath and aimed at a target. The shot was imperfect, but it hit. She gasped and looked at Jason. "I did it?" she asked. Jason smiled. "Yes, you did it. You are learning. That is what matters." The Varloni watched their young ones with pride. They began to understand that humans were not just strong, but patient. They taught with care, expecting mistakes and guiding without anger. The night came quietly. Fires burned in the forest beyond, but the city was calm. Humans and Varloni shared a simple meal. Laura looked around at the gathered group. "Tomorrow we will continue training," she said. "We need to be ready. The swarm will come and we must stand together." Elian nodded. "They are learning. They are brave. I have not seen such courage in my people before." Sela sat beside her father, Elian's aide, and whispered, "The humans, they are different. Strong and strange, but they help us. They teach us." Her father smiled softly. "Yes, they come from a world far away, a world that is not kind. They survive because they have no choice, and now we may survive because they are here." The next morning, the humans took the Varloni to a nearby river. They explained how to use the terrain to their advantage. "Rivers, hills, forests," Jason said. "They are not just obstacles. They are tools. Use them to hide, to move, and to fight. Think before you act." The Varloni practiced moving carefully along the riverbanks and through the forests. They learned to hide, to watch quietly, and to signal each other. Their movements became faster, more confident. They began to trust themselves. Meanwhile, Alan and Megan worked on building simple traps and defensive lines around the city. The humans showed the Varloni how to dig pits, set barriers, and create alarms. The Varloni learned quickly. Their delicate hands could move quietly and precisely, making traps that humans might not have thought of. Laura and Elian walked together along the outer wall of the city. "Your people are learning fast," Laura said. "They are not soldiers, but they are clever. They can survive if they use their minds." Elian nodded. "Yes, but I worry. When the swarm comes, will this be enough?" Laura put a hand on his shoulder. "We will make it enough. They are learning from the best. And they are learning from each other. That is what counts." That afternoon, a scout returned from the hills. "Swarm ships," he said. "They are closer. We can see them moving." The humans gathered the Varloni. Jason spoke first. "Do not panic. You have learned much. We will guide you. Stay calm, work together, and survive." Sela listened, her hands trembling slightly. But she remembered the lessons from Jason and Laura. She remembered how they taught without anger, how they guided without fear. She took a deep breath and nodded. Megan checked the children and young adults. "We will face this together," she said. "We help each other. We survive as one." The sun began to set. The swarm could be seen in the distance, black and red against the orange sky. Fires burned far away and the ground shook with distant explosions. The humans took their positions along the walls. The Varloni followed, some carrying simple weapons, others carrying supplies or helping the wounded. They were nervous, but they were not alone. Elian stood with them, feeling a strange mix of fear and pride. His people had learned so much in a few days. They had grown stronger, braver, and wiser. And the humans, they had shown him a new way to survive. As night fell, the first sounds of the swarm reached them. A low hum, growing louder like the heartbeat of a giant. Elian gripped his staff tightly. Sela held her small weapon, remembering Jason's instructions. Laura whispered to Jason, "This is it. They will test us tonight," Jason nodded. "We are ready. They may be strong, but we are stronger together." The Varloni looked at the humans and saw no fear, only determination. For the first time, they believed that survival was possible. They had learned patience, courage, and strength. They had learned that even a gentle people could stand against a terrifying force if they had guidance and trust. The wind carried the sound of the approaching swarm closer. Elian whispered a prayer to the stars. The humans stood firm. And the Varloni, trembling but brave, stood beside them. The battle had not yet begun, but the first steps toward survival had been taken. And for the first time, the Varloni understood that humans were not just visitors. They were protectors, teachers, and perhaps the key to their survival. The night stretched on. The fires glowed in the distance. Shadows moved across the hills. And the humans prepared the Varloni for the storm that was about to fall upon their world. For the first time in generations, hope burned brighter than fear. The sky above Varlon grew dark as the swarm approached. Black ships moved like shadows over the forests, their red lights glowing like angry eyes. Fires burned in the distance, sending smoke twisting into the sky. The ground shook with the distant hum of engines. Elian stood on the walls of the city, gripping his staff tightly. His people, once calm and gentle, now moved nervously, trying to follow the humans' instructions. Captain Laura Pierce walked along the line of defenders. "Stay calm," she said firmly. "Trust what you have learned. Work as a team. Move carefully. Do not panic." Jason Carter moved among the Varloni, helping them adjust their positions. He spoke in a low, steady voice. "Watch your surroundings. Listen for signals. Protect each other. Remember what we practiced." Sela held a small weapon in her hands. Her fingers trembled, but she remembered Jason's lessons. She took a deep breath and followed the group as they moved along the walls. Her heart raced, but she did not look away from the approaching swarm. Alan Price checked the defensive systems. Generators hummed with energy, lights blinked across the walls, and traps were ready. "This will slow them down," he said. "It won't stop them, but it will help us survive." Dr. Megan Holt moved among the Varloni who were tending the wounded. A few had minor injuries from training accidents, but everyone was now ready. She whispered encouragement to each of them. "You are ready. You have learned. Trust yourselves." The first wave of the swarm appeared over the horizon. Ships descended like black clouds, larger than anything the Varloni had ever seen. Elian's knees shook, but he stood firm. His people looked to the humans for guidance, and the humans did not falter. Laura raised her hand. "Now," she said. The defenders moved into action. Humans and Varloni together fired their weapons. The sound was loud and harsh, echoing across the city and forests. The Varloni had never heard such noise. They flinched at first, but Jason guided them. Do not be afraid. Aim carefully. Help each other. Sela fired her weapon at a swarm ship approaching the walls. She missed at first, but then she remembered the practice. She adjusted her aim and hit the ship's outer panel. A small explosion sent sparks into the air. She gasped, then smiled. I did it, she whispered. The swarm attacked in waves. The first wave was smaller but fast. The humans moved like storms, firing, dodging, and guiding the Varloni. The Varloni moved more carefully now, using the hills, trees, and walls as cover. They began to understand the humans' tactics. They moved as a team, not as frightened individuals. Jason ran along the wall, shouting instructions. Watch your left. Stay together. Do not let them surround you. The Varloni followed his orders, their fear slowly turning into focus. The humans were not just fighters. They were teachers in the midst of battle. They corrected mistakes immediately, showed alternative moves, and kept spirits high. The Varloni began to fight not just with weapons but with cleverness. They set traps in the forests, lured smaller ships into barriers, and worked together to confuse the swarm. Elian watched with awe. His people were fighting, not perfectly but bravely, and the humans, these strange, strong creatures from Earth, were extraordinary. They moved with confidence, never faltering, always guiding the Varloni. Hours passed. The first wave was pushed back, but not without cost. Buildings were damaged, small fires burned, and some Varloni were injured. Megan worked tirelessly, tending the wounded, giving comfort, and helping them recover quickly. Her calm presence inspired the Varloni to keep fighting. Alan ran from station to station, checking generators and repairing broken systems. Sparks flew and smoke rose, but he never stopped. The humans were tireless, moving through danger as if it was routine. The Varloni began to see that humans were not just strong, they were relentless. The second wave arrived, larger and faster than the first. Black ships moved in tight formations, attacking the city from multiple angles. Elian felt his heart race, but he stayed on the walls. We will survive, he whispered to himself. We must survive, Laura commanded from the center of the line. Hold the walls! Protect the city! Work together! She fired her weapon with precision, taking down a ship that moved too close. Jason ran to cover a group of Varloni who had been flanked. He shouted instructions, guiding them back to safety. Sela fired again, hitting a small ship that had tried to sneak past the walls. She felt a surge of courage. We can do this, she thought. She was not just a child anymore. She was part of a team, learning to fight alongside humans. The humans moved through the city with purpose. They coordinated the defenses, repaired barriers, and inspired the Varloni. They did not panic even when explosions shook the ground and ships crashed nearby. They were calm, steady, and unyielding. Elian realized that the humans' strength was more than physical. It was in their minds, their courage, and their determination. They did not wait for luck or miracles. They acted. They survived because they would not allow themselves to fail. The battle raged through the night. Fires burned, smoke filled the air, and the sound of weapons echoed across the city. The Varloni fought bravely, following the humans' guidance. They learned to use traps, cover, and teamwork. They discovered that even a gentle people could stand against a terrifying enemy, if they had guidance and courage. At one point, a small Varloni group was trapped by a swarm ship. Jason and Sela ran to help. Jason fired at the ship's engines while Sela guided the others to safety. The ship exploded in a shower of sparks and fire. The Varloni cheered quietly, amazed by their own survival and the humans' bravery. Megan ran among the wounded, calming them and treating injuries. She worked tirelessly, never showing fear. Her presence reassured the Varloni that they could survive, that they were not alone. Alan moved through the city, repairing generators and barriers. He replaced damaged panels, fixed broken circuits, and ensured that the defenses kept working. The humans' preparation made a real difference, giving the Varloni a chance to stand and fight. Elian watched the battle from the walls. His people were exhausted, but they were learning. They moved with more confidence, worked together, and began to understand the humans' ways. The humans were not just fighters, they were teachers, protectors, and leaders. Hours later, the swarm began to retreat. Their ships withdrew into the distance, leaving smoke and fire behind. The city was damaged, Some buildings destroyed, but the people survived. The humans and Varloni had stood together and the colony was still alive. Elian looked at the humans. You have saved us, he said. His voice trembled with emotion. We did not know if we could survive. But with you, we have hope. Laura shook her head. No, you saved yourselves. We only guided you. You fought bravely and you survived. That is what matters. Jason knelt beside Sela, who had tears in her eyes. You did well, he said. You learned quickly and you helped your people. That is courage, Sela smiled faintly. I understand now. I can do more. I can help. Megan moved among the Varloni, helping the children and adults recover. You have learned much, she said. But there is more to learn. You survived your first battle. Now we must prepare for the next. Alan checked the generators one last time. This is not over, he said. They will return. But we are ready. We will be stronger next time. The humans helped rebuild walls, repair traps, and tend the wounded. The Varloni began to understand that survival was not about strength alone, but about guidance, teamwork, and courage. Elian realized that these humans, these Deathworlders from Earth, were extraordinary. They had come from a harsh world, a place where life was not easy. They had survived because they refused to give up. And now, they had taught the Varloni that survival was possible, even against impossible odds. Night fell over Varlon, and the fires from the forests burned in the distance. The city was scarred but alive. Humans and Varloni sat together, tending to the wounded and preparing for the future. Laura looked at the sky, thinking about what was coming. They will return, she said softly. We have to be ready, Jason nodded. And we will be. They will not take this colony. Not if we stand together. Sela looked at the humans and then at her father. They are strong, she whispered. And kind. They fight but they care. I want to be like them. Elian placed a hand on her shoulder. You already are learning. That is the first step, and we will all learn. Together. The night was quiet, but the city was alive with hope. Humans and Varloni had fought together and survived. They had learned from each other, and they had proven that courage, guidance, and teamwork could face even the darkest threats. And somewhere in the distance, the swarm moved, waiting for the next opportunity. But now, the colony would be ready, and the humans would stand with them. The sun rose over Varlon, casting soft golden light across the burned forests and scarred city. The night had been long and terrifying, but the colony was still standing. Humans and Varloni moved together through the streets, repairing damage, tending the wounded, and helping one another. The smell of smoke lingered, but there was also the smell of hope, something Elian had not felt for many moons. Captain Laura Pierce walked alongside Jason Carter and Dr. Megan Holt. Their team was tired, but determined. We survived the first attack, Laura said, but we cannot be complacent. We must rebuild and prepare, Jason nodded. We have learned much. The Varloni are stronger than we thought. They adapt quickly. We just need to guide them, Megan added softly. They are brave, and they have learned courage. Now we must teach them endurance, patience, and the wisdom to survive. Elian walked among his people, watching them work. Sela carried water for the wounded, her face streaked with soot and sweat. She moved quickly, carefully, and with purpose. Elian felt pride well up in his chest. They are learning, he whispered to himself. They are learning to be strong. Alan Price checked the defensive systems one last time. Sparks flew as he repaired damaged circuits, but he smiled. This city is stronger now than it was before. The walls, the traps, the generators, they will hold. The Varloni worked side by side with the humans, clearing rubble, rebuilding broken structures, and planting new seeds in the scorched soil. They learned quickly, mimicking human movements, copying human techniques, and adding their own delicate touch. Their hands, once soft and unsteady, moved with purpose and precision. Sela paused to look at a small tree they were replanting. It is fragile, she said softly. But we will protect it. Jason crouched beside her. Yes, you protect it. You nurture it. That is what survival is. Not just fighting, but caring, planning, and helping each other. The city slowly began to take shape. Barricades were repaired, shelters rebuilt, and water systems restored. The fires in the distance still burned, but the smoke no longer seemed threatening. It was a reminder that the humans and Varloni had survived together. Elian called a meeting in the central square. Humans and Varloni gathered together, We have survived the swarm's first attack, he said, his voice clear and strong. We have learned, we have grown, and we have seen the strength of those who have come to help us. Laura stepped forward. You have learned courage and you have learned to fight. But you have also learned something more important. You have learned that survival is not just about weapons or walls. It is about unity, teamwork, and trust. You fought because you believed in each other. The Varloni listened quietly. Some still shivered from fear, but many nodded. They were beginning to understand. They were not just victims. They could act. They could protect themselves. They could survive. Sela looked up at her father, Elian, and whispered, "We are not afraid anymore. We can do this." Elian smiled faintly. "Yes, and we are not alone." Days passed and the humans continued teaching. They shared knowledge of tactics, medicine, and engineering. They worked on improving defenses, building better traps, and training the Varloni in more advanced techniques. Every day the Varloni grew stronger, braver, and wiser. The humans also learned from the Varloni. They discovered new ways to use the forests, rivers, and hills. They saw beauty in delicacy, precision, and patience. Humans realized that strength was not only in muscle or weapon, but in observation, care, and cleverness. One evening, Elian stood beside Laura as they watched the twin moons rise over the horizon. "Your people are remarkable," he said. "They fight, but they teach. They guide, but they never harm. How can such strength come from a world so harsh?" Laura smiled faintly. "It comes from survival. We learned early that nothing is easy. Every day is a test. We survive because we must, and we survive for each other. That is why we can help you now." Elian nodded. "We are grateful. The galaxy abandoned us, but you came. You risked yourself for us, and now we can see a future." The next morning, scouts returned with news that the swarm was retreating. Their ships moved far away, returning to the shadows from which they came. The Varloni cheered quietly, but Laura held up her hand. "Do not celebrate yet," she said. "They may return, but today we have won the right to rebuild. Tomorrow we prepare for what comes next." The Varloni worked tirelessly. They rebuilt homes, cleared forests, and restored energy systems. Humans guided them patiently, correcting mistakes, offering encouragement, and showing how to make structures stronger and safer. Sela ran through the streets, helping younger children carry water. She had changed. She was no longer just a frightened girl. She was brave, quick-thinking, and determined. She had learned from the humans and now used that knowledge to protect others. Jason watched her with a quiet smile. "She is learning quickly," he said to Laura. "In a few weeks she could guide others. She has the mind and courage to survive anything." Laura nodded. "And she will. All of them will. They have learned hope, courage, and teamwork. That is stronger than any weapon." Elian gathered the council. "We have seen the humans' ways. We have learned much in a short time. We will continue to learn. We will continue to grow. And when the swarm returns, we will not be afraid. We will stand together." The humans nodded in agreement. "We will stay as long as you need us," Laura said. "We will help you rebuild. We will help you prepare. And when the time comes, we will stand with you in battle again." Megan moved among the children, showing them how to care for plants, animals, and each other. "Survival is not just about fighting," she said. "It is about life, growth, and protection. You have learned to fight, but now you learn to care. That is the strength of your people." The days passed peacefully. Fires in the forests were extinguished, and smoke slowly cleared. Birds returned and rivers ran clean again. The Varloni rebuilt their homes with the humans' guidance. They planted new crops and repaired their shelters. Slowly, life returned to normal. Elian watched the city with a sense of pride he had never felt before. His people had grown stronger in just a few days. They had learned courage, teamwork, and hope. And the humans, these Death Worlders, had taught them more than survival. They had taught them life. One evening, Sela ran to her father holding a small sapling. "Look," she said. "We planted it together. It will grow. It will live." Elian smiled and nodded. "Yes, and so will we. We have learned to survive, and we will survive." Laura and Jason walked through the rebuilt streets. They watched the humans and Varloni working together, sharing tasks and laughing quietly. "They have learned much," Jason said, "but more importantly, they have hope. That is what will protect them when the swarm returns." Laura nodded. "And they have seen what humans are capable of." They understand that even in the darkest times there is courage, guidance, and strength. That is the legacy we leave them. The Varloni gathered in the central square. Elyon stepped forward. The galaxy may have abandoned us, he said. But Earth did not. Humans came when no one else would. They taught us courage, strength, and hope. We are alive because of them. Sela stepped forward beside him. And we will continue to learn. We will continue to grow. And when the danger comes again, we will not be afraid. The humans watched quietly, knowing that their work had made a difference. They had shown the Varloni that survival was possible, even against the deadliest threats. They had shown them that courage was stronger than fear, and they had shown them that hope was more powerful than despair. As the sun set, the Varloni looked at the humans and whispered words of gratitude. Elyon's eyes glistened with tears. "You have given us life," he said softly. "We will never forget you." Laura smiled. "You do not need to. We will return if you need us, and even if we do not, you have the strength now. You can survive. You can thrive." Sela looked at her friends, the other children who had learned from the humans. They nodded to each other, their faces bright with courage and hope. The lessons of the humans had changed them. They were no longer just gentle creatures. They were survivors. That night, Elyon looked at the stars. He thought of the humans who had come from a faraway world, who had faced danger without fear, and who had taught his people to survive. The galaxy had turned its back, but Earth had reached out a hand, and now Varlon had a future. The humans packed their equipment, preparing to leave. They had completed their mission, but the bond they had formed with the Varloni would last forever. Laura looked at Elyon and Sela. "We will return if you need us," she said. "But you are strong now. You can protect your home." Elyon bowed slightly. "Thank you. You have changed our world. You have given us hope, courage, and strength. We will remember you always." Sela waved as the humans boarded their ship. "Thank you!" she shouted. "We will survive. We will live." The ESC Vanguard rose into the sky, glinting in the moonlight, and disappeared among the stars. The Varloni watched until it was gone, feeling a mixture of awe, pride, and hope. Elyon turned to his people. "Look around you," he said. "We survived the swarm. We have learned courage. We have learned strength. And we have learned hope. This is our legacy. And we will continue it." Sela planted the small sapling firmly in the ground. "It will grow," she said. "And so will we." The colony of Varlon had faced death and survived.